What's going on, guys? I am headed to the airport right now. Ironically, I'm taking a last second flight to a little state called Arkansas where I used to live. I used to sell door-to-door home security systems, and I'm actually going to look at some physical real estate. And that's my game plan. I am making as much money as possible with my digital real estate, and I'm taking some of the profits and putting it into physical real estate. And I am super interested in the commercial stuff. I have 2 small office properties right now. And so anyway, I'm telling you that because that is why I'm in my car and I'm a little shaky and the whole deal. But what I want to share really quick is something that I've been able to master over the years, but it kind of threw me for a loop when I first dealt with it. And that is what do you say when clients, when you run into a string of companies or business owners that keep saying, yeah, we got enough work. Yeah, we're too busy. Yeah, that's not our issue. We're way backed out. Like, what do you say to that, right? And so what typically ends up happening, I have a lot of thoughts on this, by the way, but I'm going to keep it brief, is typically you'll see this within a niche, right? So let's say you're in a niche like basement waterproofing. By the way, that niche is a competitive beast, so good luck. It's not something I would recommend. I've tested it and it is very difficult, especially to do a flat fee deal. But anyway, let's just use that as an example. Let's say you're in that niche, right? And let's say they're targeting a couple states and it's a really stormy, rainy year. There's some hurricanes, whatever, right? What you're going to realize is no matter where you call, you're going to kind of get the same thing. And people are going to say, yeah, we're just so booked out. We're so backed up. We're so busy. And it's very annoying, okay? Very annoying. And so number one is this, is if you guys are calling the right customers, you shouldn't get that, right? If you're calling people who are already paying for ads, already paying for leads, you shouldn't get that. Because if somebody says that to me, what I'm going to say is, look, I'm thinking you probably don't understand what I'm trying to say here, because I know you're running ads, which means I know that you're hungry to grow, right? Because why would somebody run ads, pay for leads if they're so backed up, right? Number one. But there's a chance you guys aren't calling the right people. But if you are, that's the case, whatever, right? But you're going to start to see this, and if it's not now, it's going to be in the future. So let's say it's in basement waterproofing. You start calling around, and the niche looks good, the city looks good, and you keep getting like, I'm too busy. So what do you say to that? How do you deal with it? How do you make sure you're not going to lose a deal? Well, you do. Number one is you make sure you bring it up first. So there's 2 little things I want to talk about. Number one is you bring it up first, okay? And number 2 is it's not a big deal. And one thing I've learned about objections is that if it's not a big deal to you, it won't be a big deal to them, okay? So what I mean by that is, number one, you want to bring it up. So instead of saying, your regular pitch, what you're going to say is, hey, so just curious, like this is when you're calling to prospect, you're going to say, I have this job, her name's Janet, blah, 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 blah. Just curious because I know like everybody's so busy. How backed up are you guys? Like, you're not asking if, it's how backed up are you, right? And they're going to respond with some number that they think is going to shock you. And they're going to say, yeah, we're really backed out. We're like 4 weeks just for an estimate. You're like, oh, cool. And this is where the no big deal comes into play. And you're going to say, yeah, that's no big deal at all. In fact, most of the companies I'm working with right now are twice as backed out as you. So I'm not concerned about that at all. I just wanted to double check. We're good to go, okay? What are they going to say to that, right? And that's what we started doing, is we started calling and going, hey, we've got this job. I know you're paying for ads, blah, 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 blah. How backed out are you guys? And they're like, yeah, we're 6 weeks. Oh, awesome. You guys are actually in a way better spot than 9 out of the 10 companies we're working with right now. What's the secret, right? And we totally disarm them. There is nothing they can say to that. Nothing. On top of the fact that they're already paying for ads. On top, like, what you guys got to realize is most of the time when people don't understand things, it doesn't mean they're not interested. They just don't understand it. And so it comes across as not interested. Yeah, we're good. It's like, if they really understood what you were doing, if they really understood the value you could provide, they'd be really interested. The problem is they don't understand it. And so that is interpreted or comes out as not interested or too busy or 100 other things. So this goes back to what my thesis is, which is always bring up objections first. And that makes them not a big deal. It literally disarms them. They cannot use it again once you bring it up, especially if you bring it up first. It's totally different than if they say, yeah, let me stop you right there. We're actually really, really busy. And then you try and recover and say, oh, yeah. I mean, it can work, but if you do it first, it just is beautiful. So you're going to see this. It's going to happen all across. Like, for example, right now, it's 2022. It's almost June. There's a concrete shortage across the nation, right? And there was a toilet paper shortage, and there was a this shortage. And a couple weeks ago, there was the egg shortage. And it's like, first of all, it's not a big deal to me. And second of all, I just bring it up first now. What I'm doing is I'm bringing it up first, and I'm saying, hey, I've got this job. By the way, how bad is your concrete shortage problem? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, no big deal. 9 out of 10 companies I'm working with, it's twice as bad. You're actually in a really good spot. And I just keep going. I transition back into the game, transition back into the pitch, and just move along my merry way. So the way to overcome we're too busy is you bring it up first, and you make sure they understand it's not a big deal to you, and it won't be a big deal to them. All right, guys, I'm out.